Thanks for tuning in to the Mission Matters podcast, where we feature successful, mission-driven leaders committed to creating a positive change in the world. Our mission with this channel is to inspire other leaders by providing industry insights, new ideas, and inspiring stories from the pros.
All right, Paul Fife here, where I talk with leaders heading up mission-focused organizations, leading from the heart, inspiring others, and making a difference in our communities. This episode is sponsored by Paul Gregory Media, a certified B Corporation. To learn more about what a B Corporation is, and Paul Gregory Media for that matter, visit paulgregorymedia.com. Super excited about today's episode because I have with us Bob Jung and Judy Jung. Yes, both the same last name because they are married. Judy is the co-owner and director of business development for the Jung Family Painting. What do you want to say? Enterprise, taking over the world. I don't know.
There you go, taking over the world.
And of course, Bob Jung, founder and co-owner as well. You guys are about to celebrate your 20th anniversary. You guys started in 2004, and it's 2024 for those who are listening, maybe many years into the future. In this painting business, so which is 100% family owned and operated since 2004, right? So talking about leading with your heart. You two guys are very philanthropic, and you have a pretty good story to tell, and you're always giving back to your community in more ways than one. So I'd love to have our audience just to hear a little bit more about from your perspective, what you do and how you got here. So Judy, I'll toss it to you first.
Okay. Well, 13 years ago, I had an apartment and I needed it painted. And I had met Bob at a chamber event a couple years before that and remembered his card. I thought the logo was absolutely awesome and I liked him as a person, but I didn't get to know him that well. So I called him up and said, "Do you do apartments?" And he said, "Absolutely." And he remembered who I was and came over, and that started a relationship that was not expected. Now, 13 years later, we've been married 7.5 years.
Wow. And did you guys know each other from the chamber before that, or?
Yeah, that's how we met.
So you had an acquaintance there. Okay. Wow.
Team 3, chamber.
Team 3. Yeah. And Bob, how about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got here.
Well, 38 years ago, I was asked if I wanted to make some extra money and learn how to paint. I said, sure, I'll be painting racquetball courts. So that was a great summer job. Met one of the owner's sons, and he taught me how to paint. And 38 years later, still painting, and 20 years now as a business owner with my wife.
Wow. So it's a total of 38 years, you said?
38 years now,
in
yes.
painting.
Yes.
Wow, that's a long.
I was a young one.
Long time to be in a career.
Yeah, but I loved what I was doing and always wanted to be my own boss, working for different companies, and my goal was to be my own boss.
Yeah, it's like a blessing and a curse, if you ask me.
It is.
Right?
It is. Yeah.
But being able to make your own hours or decisions even and just live with those consequences, to me is worth it. And speaking of 20 years in the Jung family business, and celebrating your 20th anniversary, you guys are donating, I don't know how much this year towards painting grants?
$20,000.
Well, that makes sense. 20,000.
Yeah, 20
years, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. So you're donating all this painting for, I guess, nonprofit organizations.
Correct. So it'll be labor, and then we'll take care of materials too.
Wow.
And most of the jobs.
Right. Yeah. How many, I wonder, for like a nonprofit organization, how many nonprofit organizations are going to benefit from this, you think?
We're hoping at least 10 is our goal. 10. We pretty much do 12 a year, but we really never talk about it. This year being 20 years in business, let's talk about giving back.
So it's a more formal process that you've around it with these grants.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So with 20,000 across, say, 10 organizations, it's about 2,000 on average each. But something tells me, knowing how much you've donated in past years, because I know you so well, something tells me it's going to be a lot more than that. So
of course it will.
Of course it will, yes. But that's what we love to do by giving back.
I'm sure the community really appreciates it. And I know some of those beneficiaries that have been the recipients of your pro bono work in past years. So it's a very noble cause. And speaking of noble causes, that's not all you do, right? Because I know that you have two major events a year that are very philanthropic and it's kind of grown into sort of an exciting community event too, not just about raising funds. So tell us a little bit about those two events.
Well, we decided a few years ago to help support Little Friends, and they didn't have much going on in the winter months. And we thought, well, we decorate our house anyway. Bob does an amazing job with Halloween and with Christmas. And people come from all over. I mean, we've had people come from Rockford to see our home. So we thought, well, people are coming to the house anyway. Why not make a fundraiser? And one night, Halloween night is when we have our Monsters for a Cause. And we have Little Friends here talking about their organization. We give out full-size candy bars. And it is a wonderful event. It has grown so much over the last 3 years. We were so happy to donate 3 times as much as we did the very first year we did it. And then our Claws for a Cause is in December. It's one night as well. We hand out homemade cookies to all the kiddos, and they come and they run through our arches and they look at all the displays, and we have music, and it's just a blast. And Little Friends has benefited significantly from that as well. And we will keep doing it because it's been such a wonderful experience. And I don't know what else makes a person smile than seeing a little kid run into Santa's arms. We have Santa Claus here.
That's me.
And smile. And I'm Mrs. Claus. And when I hand them their cookie, they just think it's the best. So we've been doing it now for 5 years, and we're going to keep on going.
Wow. It's kind of like, so not only is it great for the kids, first of all, full-size candy bars, really?
Yep.
That's like the holy grail of Halloween, right?
We had over 825 kids on that crappy weather this year on Halloween.
Oh yeah, this year was
100 something more
blizzardly.
100 more kids than last year.
Oh my! Well, because you had the full size candy bars, who wouldn't?
We always
go
did
there
that,
through a blizzard. Of course, and then of course the parents or even the kids, I would imagine, feeling good about donating, and then being able to give back to Little Friends, which of course, we'll be sure to make sure we have a link to Little Friends on this podcast page as well. In fact, I think I'm interviewing them on a podcast later on today.
Oh, great.
Mike Briggs.
Well, just a side note, you never know how these things can affect other people's lives. And we did learn that at least 1 or 2 families are now working with Little Friends for their children who have autism. And they said they would have never known about them if it hadn't been for our fundraiser. So to us, that's the priceless part of all this, right? That's what our heart, it even gives me goosebumps right now talking about it. That's why we do what we do.
Wow. Talk about making connections and making a difference, right? And we're not even talking about painting anymore.
No.
This is just business ownership and being good stewards of our community. And wow. And this is why I think you have such an interesting story, and Bob, forgive me because I'm going to be nerdy for a second here because I like to geek out on the lights. How many lights do you think you have on these, whether it's Halloween or Christmas?
We have a couple, but let's just say it's over 300 hours of time to set up for Christmas.
300. Any idea on the wattage?
I'm not allowed to see the electrical bill. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I would hope that most of them are LEDs now.
They're all LED, and it's worth doing this and hearing the kids and families laughing and having fun and running through the arches and running through the yard.
Yeah,
it's just an awesome feeling.
Yeah, I would say just another plug here because the spectacle of lights is really, truly, I think 2 satellites from space pick it up. I'm not sure, but my guess is that they probably do. So I would like to plug jungfamilypainting.com. And on that, you have a link to your Facebook page. And on the Facebook page, they can check out. There's some great pictures for Monsters for a Cause, and there's some great photos for the Christmas light spectacle put on as well. And again, not to forget, because even more important is the beneficiary of Little Friends who benefits from this, and of course, just the happy smiles on the kids' faces when they see either Santa Claus or Mrs. Claus or on Halloween Get those full-size candy bars, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So now, how big are you guys now? How many people you have working for you?
We have 20 people who work for us.
20. Wow.
I have 20 guys, men and women. We do have some women painters, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
And then
You
we
don't
have
see that too often.
Yeah.
And then I have one administrative assistant, and we are hiring an executive assistant this year.
Wow. So you guys are growing operationally too.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lesson there, I guess, in scaling a business, right? You can't just do it all yourself and keep growing and keep
No,
growing.
you
and
really
do it all
can't.
yourself.
No.
So I know you guys have a really good reputation. I mean, you can't be around for 20 years and then grow and not have a great reputation, right?
Right.
And I know that your reputation precedes you a lot of times. I'd like to maybe switch gears just a little bit and talk about a few things from a leadership lens. And we were talking earlier about finding what was your biggest leadership challenge in growing the business? And you talked about people. Tell us a little bit more about that, Judy.
Well, finding staff is hard, I think, for any business owner. And it's also finding the ability to give up and delegate is also a little challenging. But we have been very successful and very blessed over the last few years, being able to Bob's been able to train an amazing crew. Some of our guys have been with us for over 13 years. And to watch that crew grow and have the guys now training our new people, it's fun to watch. And then on my end, you have to learn that if you want to be a business development director, you better be out in the community and going to different events and getting the name out there. And I can't do that if I'm worrying about administrative stuff in the office. So we finally decided, okay, let's get a little help. And it started with a very part-time person, but now we're going to get a second part-time person who is more experienced and is really going to be able to help me take my part of the business to the next level.
Wow. Okay. We went over three things there. I want to unpack it just a little bit more. So you talked about finding the right people. Now, I don't imagine that's always been the case, right? So you must have had some mistakes or some challenges where they weren't exactly the right people growing. We all have those challenges in business at first, right? And we kind of learn from those mistakes and then find better people and then learn from those mistakes and find even better people. Was that sort of the trajectory that you guys had, or did you find the right people right away?
In the beginning, it's like a roller coaster. You have your up and down. So we had some great people, and then you get a little desperate. You want to try to hire people to fill that void, and sometimes it wasn't the right decision. So then you try to learn from your mistakes, because it's our reputation on the line. When our crew walks into someone's house, you better follow these procedures and help us grow. So yeah, we did have a lot of ups and downs, but the last 5 years have been great, having the right crew who wants to grow with the company, who cares about the company, and wants to, grow, just keep on growing with the company.
Sure. It's almost like you're only as good as your worst person. Is that I don't know. I don't know if I like the way that's phrased. And then Judy, you went on to say training too, right? So it's hard to train people and get what's out of your head or in your head out of it, right? But as we get more experience, I think you find the commonality and you're able to develop standard operating procedures, which gets into your training. So I think is that been an aspect of, would you say, the training aspect of your business?
Absolutely, on all ends. We are lucky enough to have a coach, which we highly recommend anybody that owns their own business considers. And that coach has helped us keep accountable, helped us with SOPs, helped us in ways that we didn't even know we needed help. So it's really nice to have an objective person coming in and holding you accountable.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think anybody who's a business owner should look at having a business coach. If you don't, I don't know what they're doing, because there's I don't know trying to think of how to phrase this, but I think you can do no worse when you have a coach, and you can only do better, right? Because your coaches are typically trained in accountability and business, and they have the experience in most cases. So finding the right coach, just like finding the right employee too, makes a big difference.
Really has.
So it's hard, I think, one of the biggest challenges in business ownership is filling the sales funnel or the sales pipeline or whatever you want to call it, right? And so business development takes on a huge role. And I know in our business, we don't have a business development person, so it falls on me. And so I don't want to talk about me, but the role of a dedicated business development person is paramount if you want to fill that sales pipeline and keep that going. So tell us about that role, Judy, and how you've stepped into that.
Well, Bob was doing it all. So he was not only the head painter and head foreman, but he was also the administrator, the business development leader, and everything.
He was out doing the bids.
He was out doing the bids, but he was also trying to get to all the chamber events to help market himself. And it was challenging. I can't believe he did it for as long as he did by himself. But when he asked me to join, once we set our guidelines.
I'm sorry. Is that what happened to his hair? I don't know.
It could have a lot to do with it.
Because I think I knew Bob when he had hair.
Yeah, he did.
Actually, when I first met him, I think he had some.
Yeah.
But no, it's very challenging. And so when Bob finally said, "Can you just come and work for me?" I had my own business development firm and I was helping entrepreneurs. But when he said, "Join me," and once we set our guidelines, I did. And I just said, "Let me take the reins on this. I know how to do this. Let me put together my kind of job description and my guidelines." And we just kind of went with it, and it's working.
It was hard to let go of certain things. Your coach says, let go and delegate. And over the years, yes, we let go, a lot of things go, but to join up with my wife, it was incredible to do. Loved working with her, sharing the good and bad with her. And it's fun.
And we've ended up expanding into so many cool groups that I never would have even known about had I not had the opportunity to meet them. So they have helped our business grow substantially, and I've made some amazing friendships and business associates through it. So it's a win-win-win, really, when it comes to being part of those networking groups and chambers.
So you're really talking about getting yourself out there, because business development can mean cold calls, could mean cold emails, could be social media. But that doesn't seem like those are the areas where you're concentrating. It seems like you're really going out there into professional associations and professional organizations for networking opportunities.
Absolutely. And that has a lot to do with me. That's my personality. I like meeting people. I like talking with people. I like building relationships. I'm not really that good with systems and behind the scenes administrative stuff. So therefore, that's why we are hiring some help in that area.
But it also seems like being out there in the community, business community, is really proven fruitful for you guys.
Hands down. No doubt.
So it makes sense that you're not putting money into email marketing or social media, or at least a lot of money, and they're putting more of your effort from a business development perspective into you physically being at certain places to build those relationships. Is that fair to say?
That's totally fair to say.
When you walk in with the colors like this, people see you.
Right.
You're always going to see me in green.
Yeah, your signature color. Is it green or is it chartreuse?
This is why I'm green. That my whole branding campaign, and that also helps, grow awareness to the business, having all the change of colors, new design, and
so colors that pop. And in your case, because I know this firsthand, is consistent branding, right? So you've had consistent branding for years. It's
supposed to be a one-year campaign. Remember that? Get Jung? And
yeah, I do.
It led to 17 years later, still wearing the colors.
I think at year 5, I said it's kind of being overused now, but you've definitely formed a branding platform and built a branding platform off of that. So kudos to you for keeping that up. And I think there's a lesson here from the business development side on also just putting yourself out there. Especially for a small business that makes, under 10 million a year, you got to be out there. You got to show face time. And my guess, Judy, only because I know you, is you're not necessarily selling your painting business to the people that you're meeting. You're turning them into ambassadors, I think.
Absolutely. Yep. And we have so many now, and we have so many business resources that we can also pass on to our clients because of all the relationships I've built and Bob's built. So it makes us a well-rounded company because it's
Right.
not just painting. I can offer them people that I know in the industries that are experts in their fields, and that helps our clients as well.
Right. Well, remind me to ask you offline, power washer guy.
Okay.
I need one.
Okay.
Yes. So you're building ambassadors. So because once they meet you, right, and you form that relationship, and you have such a wonderful personality, and you're really giving back to the community with your philanthropic events, what is not to like? Of course, they would recommend you, right?
Yep.
So I mean,
It works.
it's a formula based on true community involvement, philanthropy, honesty, transparency, and I think that will always win every time, especially for the long
Sure.
game.
Exactly.
And here we are 20 years later, very successful, and looking forward to a bright new year.
Exactly.
So I think we went over everything: leadership, training, business development, consistent branding, which is always important, building those standard operating procedures. I mean, I think at a certain point after a business hits $1 million a year, they realize that in order to scale beyond that, they need standard operating procedures.
Exactly.
Especially if you're
As
gonna
much
bring-
as we don't like them, they work.
They work.
Right. Especially if you're going to bring in people, right? You need something to go off of. And the importance of a business coach, which every business owner should have. It's a very important aspect of owning a business for sure. I think we've come to the end. I think you've said it all. But maybe not. Do you have any parting thoughts?
Well, all I have to say is that being raised in a family business, it had many, many challenges, and it didn't end as, in the best experience, but it still is a wonderful business. But with Bob, this has been the best job I have ever had in my life. I've never had more fun. I've never worked harder, but it's okay because I enjoy what I do, and we have such a fun time building this business together and really enjoying the benefits as well as the challenges because we have each other to help each other through it.
Wow. That's very touching, especially from a married couple. And I've heard a saying once, don't do what you enjoy because you may not be good at it, but do what you're good at because you can learn to enjoy it. But I think you guys kind of found both ends there.
Yep. We did.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Well, thank you both for being on this podcast. I am all too honored to promote your company because I also find you and your company inspirational. And I think a lot of others can find that just through our conversation today. So thank you very much for taking your time out today. Until next time, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks for listening to the Mission Matters podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.
Stop. もう一回。Non move.